So it looks like Sony is bringing 3D head tracking to the PlayStation 4, and I think that's kind of crazy. What is going on, guys and girls? It's GhostRobo, and early morning reports revealed that Sony is planning on bringing a 3D head-mounted head-tracking device similar to the Oculus Rift to the PlayStation 4. Now, this will not be available at launch, nor anytime in 2013, but rather coming at us sometime next year. These rumors were brought to us by both Eurogamer and CVG, with CVG saying that it might be unveiled as soon as Tokyo Game Show later this month, and many sources have supposedly confirmed that it's already been shown off internally with Drive Club, which is the launch day PS4 racing game, looking around the cockpit and doing all that kind of motion tracking, head tracking 3D stuff. Sony is no foreigner to these types of devices. They've made one for 3D games and 3D movies that has individual displays for your eyes and looks like some futuristic robotic Halo. Why are they doing this, though? That's my question. It seems like such a strange move. I know that everybody is so hyped on the Oculus Rift right now. Every person that gets one seems to think it's so cool and so revolutionary and has a chance to really change gaming, or at least a subset of gaming, even though right now it's a very expensive and very limited device. I come at this with a totally different perspective, which is that anytime a peripheral is introduced to a gaming system, to a gaming console, to the gaming industry, it seems to really have a very fast boom and then bust effect, at least for core gamers and for the majority. We'll start off talking about motion control with the Wii. Now, that had a huge boom at the very start. People were crazy about it. But if you look at how much impact it actually had on games, on the game industry, on how we play our games, it was pretty small. Sure, there were plenty of Wii games that took great advantage of the motion controls, but when we think of things as a whole spectrum, from a company standpoint, they went all in on this. You know, Microsoft invested and made the Kinect, Sony invested and made the PlayStation Move, but how many of you are excited to play motion control games now? I think that number is probably very small. Sure, I enjoyed Wii Sports. Sure, I liked Wii Sports Resort. Sure, I had fun controlling Zelda's sword with my Wiimote, and I kind of enjoyed Dance Central and some of those early Kinect and Move games as well. But right now, I have no interest in playing anything that is motion controlled. You look at something like 3D. You know, Nintendo earlier announced the 2DS, which removes the 3D feature from their 3DS, basically admitting, hey, the 3D fad is kind of over. People seem to be getting sick of it at the movie theaters. It's not as popular on TVs, and now it's kind of wearing out its welcome in gaming as well. So what advantage does a peripheral-based enhancement have? And I can't see very many. You know, this thing is going to cost a lot. It has to cost a lot. If it's going to really have two individual screens that can produce high-definition level 3D content, and it does all the other motion sensing stuff, I mean, that thing is going to cost a boatload. What's an Oculus Rift cost? $300-400? It's an expensive device, and even if it has the major backing from a huge corporation like Sony, and they can get that price down to, say, $200 or even $150, how many people are going to buy a $150, $200 peripheral on top of their $400 PlayStation 4, on top of their $60 controllers, on top of their $60 games, on top of their online service, 12-month cards? It's going to fragment the market in another little tiny niche and probably will not ever really demand, or rather require, the need for AAA developers to commit mass resources to it. Sure, you'll have Microsoft and Sony or whoever paying specific people to make specific games for this. And the reports are also that Nintendo and Microsoft are considering Oculus Rift support for their consoles, or maybe even investing in their own. I think it's just a silly choice. I'm very curious to know what you guys think, so don't forget to let me know in the comments below. But for me, when games are really transformed, it's with something that directly impacts the game and is within the game. So when we made the jump from 2D to 3D, or when we made the jump to more powerful systems that could handle AI, that had, individual AI routines, or things with much better visual fidelity and much better lighting, so we could have realistic shadows for stealth games. But anytime there's been, anything from the Sega Dreamcast VMUs to motion control to I can't think of one peripheral that has really redefined the gaming space. Sure, it impacted the corporate side of things. They sold a ton of Wiis, and, like I said, Microsoft and Sony reacted accordingly by developing their own motion control devices, but did it really shift the game space for us, especially core gamers? Not so much. I've been gaming since I was 4 years old. I grew up with the NES, the SNES, all the way up to where we stand now before the beginning of a new generation, and every single system I've played, the main thing is my interaction with the game on screen, my input to its output. And it doesn't matter what crazy peripheral I have, from the Duck Hunt light gun with the original NES all the way to the Kinect with the Xbox 360. My favorite moments, the ones that really define gaming, exists with a controller in my hand and what's happening on screen. And I think it's much more beneficial to advance what's going on screen, what's going on within the game, rather than trying to supplement it with some peripheral that will inevitably splinter the market and never really overtake and become a prominent device that has to be developed for. Sure, if we wait 20 years down the road and people have credit card barcodes on their wrist and their cell phones are embedded in their brain, maybe then virtual reality will take a massive hold, and who knows what games even look like at that point. But right now, it seems like a foolish errand to just try and grab more money out of people's pockets. Like, what kind of crazy device could we develop for 2014 so we have some hardware to put out and try and sell people on? It sounds like the kind of thing you buy your 12-year-old nephew, he plays with for a few weeks, and then it goes in the shelf, because it's going to be another piece of hardware you have to buy. It's going to be another piece of hardware you have to set up. I'm sure it's going to need calibration and syncing, and again, this just becomes almost a nuisance between me and my game rather than something that says, hey, now the game is significantly improved. I heard talks of the new Madden and how for the next generation Madden, each player is going to have their own individual AI for better reaction time and for more realistic movement on the football field. Now, that's something that improves the experience I'm directly playing. It's a small one. It will only affect, the very hardcore football fans, but it's something that directly impacts my experience with the game. And you could say that, sure, if I make a very focused experience for this new Oculus Rift type device, that it's going to be very, redefining how we view games. And maybe it will be. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I have never used the Oculus Rift personally. I have one on order, but it hasn't come yet. And maybe I'm completely crazy and it's going to be the most jaw-dropping thing ever. But all reports, all past experiences, all my gut instinct says this will be another gimmick that will garner a lot of hype and then quickly poof and go away, because games are games are games. And no matter what we try to throw at them or add on to them or dongles or whatever else we try and possibly supplement on, the most popular, best, fun experiences for me as a core gamer are the controller and the game and what I said, what I input and what it outputs to me. And that will not be affected. It's not going to define the genre. All of a sudden, you're not going to see every shooter require this device. You're not going to see every great story need this for first person, viewing. It may be very awesome. I'm sure Sony's going to put a lot of effort into it. I just think it's a strange direction to take, especially as we see Nintendo weaning people off of 3D, basically saying, hey, this isn't the great thing we thought it was. The gamepad has not developed into what we thought it would be. Again, there's not really a great example for a design, from a design standpoint that says, hey, this so incredibly impacted the gaming space. Sure, when the Wii first came out and, Apple was bringing touch control and motion control, that was a big deal, but it was more of an economic big deal. Like, people are now selling tons of Wiis because everyone wants to try it. I don't think it really impacted game design. It would be super interesting to talk to developers and see what they really think about something like this. Anytime they make a hype reel or they introduce one of these devices, they're going to get the most positive, upbeat, hyped developers they possibly can get. But from a publisher standpoint, from a developer behind-the-scenes standpoint, are they thinking this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen? Just let us make cool games. We don't want to program for some goofy device, and I'm sure they get a lot of money for it, so maybe they're happy. But I wonder what their true opinion is. You're never going to trot someone out there that has something negative to say about your new piece of tech, but what do they really think? I have to imagine that some of them think it's kind of goofy that they try and keep splintering markets in different directions, trying different things, seeing what hits and misses, and frankly, almost everything's been a miss. The PlayStation Move died off. I want to say it died off before it even started. That thing seemed to fall flat on its face. I remember trying out Killzone 3 when it first came out. I thought that was kind of cool, but after that I was like, I don't want to hold this stupid light-up wand anymore. And I think that most people feel the same way about Kinect and about even Wii Motion Plus, that never really materialized into the thing we thought it could become. And again, when we go back to it, think of games like The Last of Us, think of games like BioShock Infinite, think of games like Journey, think of games like, I don't know, anything, Hearthstone that's going on with Blizzard right now. It's all about me and my experience, the core mechanics, the core story, the core input-output of the games, regardless of peripherals, regardless of crazy tech, regardless of space robot halos that we wear and display everything in virtual reality 3D. That's interesting. It's progressive. It's a new thing, but will it ever really modify gaming as we know it? Do we really need it? Do we really want it? That's what I want to know from you guys. My personal opinion is it's kind of a silly venture. It's kind of not where they should be focusing their attention, in my opinion, but I'm curious to know what you think. Are you pumped for a Sony-branded official headset type device for your PlayStation 4 to play games in 3D virtual reality, or do you think it's stupid and they should just focus on making the games as good as they can? Are there any peripherals that you have really liked that you feel redefined gaming, or has it really been the internal design-based improvements that have redefined genres within the gaming industry? Let me know in the comments below. Curious to hear what you guys think on the topic. Until that time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Drink some hot chocolate, and we will see you all later.